have you here today. I hope everything is looking good in your morning across from the pond.
It is indeed. It's looking nice and warm, and it looks like it's going to be a beautiful day.
Oh, that's lovely. Quite the contrast from here in Florida, but it's okay. We have it sunny the other days.
Okay, okay.
We would love for you to tell us a little bit about your life and what the company is really about. You know, your mission, your values, and all that.
Oh,
Absolutely.
that's probably the best question. So your Jet Life started in 2022 as a way to, one, bring visibility to the aviation industry and how the aviation industry actually affects everyday life. It's almost like an unspoken hero, especially here in Australia, but also in the U.S. All these rural communities are serviced by the aviation industry. And these are usually done by charitable organizations such as Angel Flight here in Australia, but Angel Flight also has an office in the US. And what they do is they pick up non-critical patients and bring them to hospitals or to get care that they desperately need. So, think of that 5-year-old who unfortunately got diagnosed with cancer and needs to, have treatments. Some of these rural communities don't have those services or don't have the equipment. So it's really necessary for these individuals to get to places where this equipment actually is to, essentially save their life. When we heard that government funding doesn't necessarily, put any money into these organizations, it was really, really unfortunate. So we decided to, start Your Jet Life by, one, bringing focus to the aviation industry, the social and humanitarian work that they do, but also have a really fun prize. You know what I mean? So, aviators love aviation. Fuel runs through our veins. So by putting up a prize that's, essentially, an airplane or a helicopter, we really get these people involved in a big way, and then the charity wins out in the end.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's great. And who doesn't love a plane for a great cause?
Exactly.
absolutely.
Great cause. Yeah, you do such great work for your community in Australia, and it's so admirable. When we first heard of your Jet Life, I was in shock. I was like, this is such a great company, such a great message. I don't know why no one's ever thought of it before. How long have you guys been around doing this great work for your community? And how did the idea for your Jet Life come to life? How did this
Yeah.
get brainstormed into existence?
Yeah, and again, another great question. So, everybody on our team has been an aviation enthusiast or been in the aviation industry for 20 plus years. We dabble in multiple facets of the general aviation industry, but it was really a conversation that we had with Angel Flight here in Australia. And it was around just what I said earlier about government funding and how they, have a hard time getting government funding or don't get government funding, and that they do all of these missions on the charitable dollar. And that, especially with the economy a year ago, it was really, really difficult for people to, stretch their budgets thin in order to donate so that these guys can do the amazing work that they do. And funny enough, it was really another kind of like art union lottery that I bought tickets to win a house, and it wasn't a charitable lottery. It was just a house lottery, and I didn't win, but I didn't feel so bad. You know what I mean? Because again, it's one in, about 100,000 chances. And knowing that the funds were going to a charity, and, I wasn't just losing, I was still doing something good. I felt really good about that. And it just made me think. I was just like, nobody's ever given away an airplane. Let's see if we can give away an airplane. And unfortunately, at the time, the Pepsi Challenge Netflix show was on. So everybody's like, oh, did you get the idea from that? And I was like, actually, no, it's just coincidence. But I go, but it's good marketing.
There you go.
So yeah, we started in November 2022. So only your Jet Life's only been operational for almost a year, which is great. And we run one draw every 6 months. So it just makes sure that, especially for our main prize, so like an actual helicopter or airplane, we'll run those draws once every 6 months because there's time for manufacturing, time for delivery, things of that nature. But we do have the capacity to do smaller draws, which we have, another draw, which is just a private jet experience and a getaway. And then with our current ticket holders, we run bonus draws so they can actually make a little bit of, have a little bit of excitement in the immediate, get that satisfaction there.
There you go.
And if I can just add on top of that, so the proceeds from the lottery will go towards Angel Flight to help them in their vision. and their vision is all about getting a fleet of Vision jets that they can operate across Australia in every capital city that can take doctors and medical professionals to those remote communities and rural communities and be able to have all-day clinics, seeing patients, talking to patients. So actually taking the doctors there. The Vision jets only need 1 kilometre of space to land and take off, so they can land right in those, right in the heart of those communities and be able to help them. So Angel Flight will use the proceeds from the lottery that we raise for them to organise this fleet.
Absolutely wonderful. What a great idea. What a coincidence that with Netflix too. I think it works in your favor though, for the marketing, for sure, with a big company like Netflix. So
well, I was just going to say, thankfully, unlike that fizzy drink, we were real and we did have the plane.
there we go. There we go. You can push that forward to your audience too. This is a hoax. So you mentioned that all of your team has a passion for aviation. You've all worked in aviation. How did you find yourself working in this aviation industry all those years ago? You said 20 plus for some people. And what keeps the passion going?
Again, that's another pretty funny story. But essentially, when I was 18. I was watching Jeopardy with Alex Trebek, and there was a question on there about color blindness and being able to get your pilot's license. And I never really thought about being a pilot. I think I was pretty much on target to become a lawyer or a finance guy. But 2 days later, my dad was having a conversation with his lawyer about getting his pilot's license. And the lawyer said, "Oh, no, you can't because you're colorblind." And I came in like a cocky 18-year-old and basically said, "Well, actually, that's a common misconception." And, went on this whole spiel that I learned on Jeopardy literally 2 days before that. And I made a bet with my dad that if I passed my Warshak test and my aviation eye exam, that he would have to pay for my license. Sure enough, I passed, so he had to pay for my commercial helicopter license. And after I was trained, I didn't really, anticipate again as having aviation as a career. But when I was backpacking through Europe, it just so happened that somebody was looking for a pilot for one of the mega yachts. I got that job. It paid very, very well. And I did that for 5 years, where 5 years I was in the Mediterranean flying the mega yachts for high-end passengers. And then on the off season, I'd go to Africa and fly with Doctors Without Borders or WHO as a volunteer. Really just, more hours, more endorsements and multiple aircraft types. So that's where and then again, once you're in it, the passion just it overwhelms you, and it's all you really want to do is be in the air. And I'm sure every pilot would pretty much say, a similar thing where, once it's in your blood, it doesn't stop. And it was really about building a team that had similar backgrounds and really that passion for the aviation industry, whether it be general aviation or commercial aviation, doesn't really matter. But, we're all just kind of fly junkies. Yeah.
What a wonderful story. Into aviation, proving everyone wrong.
Oh, it's been a wonderful journey, I'll tell you that.
Yes, and you've done such good work, Doctors Without Borders and WHO, using it flying for a good cause.
Yeah, there's always value in flying for charitable services and things like that, which I've always done, and I'm sure a lot of pilots and a lot of people in the aviation industry have always done the job to get paid, but at the same time they'll always look for ways that they can give back to communities, and whether that be food drops during floods, or whether that be bushfire relief, or whether that be any numerous amount of services that aviation really does focus on. Like, think of the pandemic, where passengers couldn't travel. But guess what? Every single one of those pilots and aviators actually got to work and started doing cargo to make sure that the economy could keep up, and started doing humanitarian relief, repatriation flights, getting people back to their countries when they've been stuck overseas for so long. Like, these things don't happen on boats, unfortunately. They happen with aviation. So, we always like to give back, and I'm sure the industry itself is very much on the same, level where, yes, do some work, make some money, but at the same time, there's always a way to give back.
And Mark, what about you? Have you always been working in aviation, or what drew you to the industry?
No, actually, I'm going to make a confession. I haven't, but it's the passion of Royce and the rest of the team that lured me in. And knowing that we could do so much good and support for Angel Flight, it was a no-brainer. It was a case of, wow, I'm listening to Royce and I'm thinking, this guy's incredible. I've got to work with this guy, and we can do so many good things for Angel Flight. And yeah, I'm in love with the aviation industry already because of the work that we've done and continue to do. And it's just been an absolute pleasure being part of your jet life and doing what we do.
That's great. I would imagine if I got pulled in, I wouldn't want to leave.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And so what does your jet life mean to you? What personal meaning does the work that you do mean to you personally?
For me,
my view, I'm sorry, Royce, you go first.
No, you go, Mark. You go. That's all right.
I was just going to say, from my point of view, it is just that the support that we will give, not just to Angel Flight, but to the thousands of people who they then support, and be able to support moving forwards is just critical for me. I think we live in a world where everyone is out there, everyone's working hard, trying to make ends meet for their families and etc. And I just think here is an organisation that have a fleet of volunteer pilots flying people around just because they have a plane and are happy to do so. And then what the charity wants to do is to go that one step further and take medical professionals to those communities. And I think in a country as vast as Australia, without those communities, Australia would struggle. It wouldn't be the powerhouse that it is. And the excitement, the passion that Royce and the rest of the team have shown to me, it's as I said, it's a no-brainer. It's something that I love doing. I love doing my job in terms of the marketing for it. But yeah, it's just the end goal, what we're going to achieve over the period of time that we're helping this charity and others is just, yeah, it's just simple. It's a no-brainer. It's like, why wouldn't you?
That's great.
Yeah, and just for me, like, your jet life, I'm sure everybody's seen the Kardashians and how they jet off from one place to the other, and that's just one aspect of a jet life. But when you talk to a pilot, most people from the outside would assume that pilot is living the most extraordinary life. They're flying from city to city, state to state, country to country, and they're just like, wow, I wish I could have that life. But it is, two-sided. There's those who work and then those who actually get to enjoy that lifestyle. And why we created the lottery and named it Your Jet Life was to encompass both. And if we can give somebody the ability to fly from state to state and country to country with their own aircraft, that's capitalizing, or not capitalizing, but that's giving that individual that ability to feel what the Kardashians would feel. And then on the other side, we have the charitable work, and everything raised goes towards that charity, which supports the other side of the aviation industry. So it's really a all-encompassing kind of situation, and Your Jet Life can mean something to anybody who says it, something different.
Yeah.
Yes. You guys really do the best of both worlds. You highlight all the best parts of the aviation community, and that's so admirable. And these prizes with draws for Your Jet Life are just incredible. Like you said, once in a lifetime opportunities. You get to feel like a Kardashian. Things that a regular person would never experience in their life. Where did this idea come from to draw such an amazing prize, and how did you make it work?
Yeah, don't get me wrong, it wasn't without its stress. And again, our objective is to get to those bigger style jets. We start small. We started with a Cirrus SR-22. Now we've moved on to a helicopter, again, another part of the aviation industry, but we felt it was necessary to bring one of those prizes on. But as we grow and as we essentially sell out draws and get aviators involved and everyday people involved in buying tickets and supporting this amazing charity, we will increase those prizes by every single time. So essentially, hopefully, by the end of the year 5, which we have a 5-year license to run these lotteries, and I could potentially extend that, but right now it's 5 years. We're hoping that it's going to be a pretty significant jet at that point. and we'll be giving somebody literally that experience that the Kardashians have. But you hit the nail on the head. It was really about providing somebody with those experiences that they would never otherwise experience, and for a very low cost. And again, it is a chance; it's a lottery. But just knowing that the proceeds of that ticket sale goes towards an amazing charity means that even if you don't win, you still get that feel good knowing that you donated to a good cause. And then hopefully, come in for the next one. The winner of the last draw was a guy in Perth who bought a few tickets. I mean, he bought them back in February and he won in June. Just, he dropped the phone when I called him. He just was, he's breathless. And that's, we do that because, we do this because we love that. And, for him, he was like, well, I just bought tickets because the charitable work that you guys do is great. So it wasn't even about the aircraft, but, nice little incentive to donate.
Exactly.
Yeah, and just on that, the prizes are once in a lifetime, because we do give people in the general community, everyone watches reality TV. We've mentioned that famous family, the Kardashians, but everyone watches reality TV and wants to aspire to potentially have that opportunity. So by giving them the aircraft and no expenses for 12 months means they can fly around in that aircraft, be it a plane or a helicopter, for that 12 months, enjoy that celebrity, that ultra life that they have been watching people on the TV about. And then at the end of the day, they can always then, at the end of that 12 months, if they feel that they've had a lot of fun, but it's not for them, they can sell it and have some money in their back pocket. And knowing that they've supported that charity.
Exactly. It's a win-win. I'd be happy if I win, I'd be happy if I lose. I know I'm doing something great, and if I win, hey, I get a plane.
That's right.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, what an amazing prize. So I wanted to ask, is this opportunity just for Australians, or can anyone in the world apply for it? Like, let's say someone like me in Miami, would people here at Aviation Network be able to have a chance to win this lottery, or is this just located in Australia?
Anybody can enter. Yeah, anybody can enter. I mean, the proceeds will go to Angel Flight Australia. So as long as they're happy for it to go to a charitable organization here in Australia. But as far as the prize is concerned, anybody in the world can win the prize. And when it comes down to delivery of that prize, again, we're in the aviation industry, so it's not hard to move these products to where that individual is. For instance, if somebody had won the Cirrus in the U.S., that's where the aircraft is actually manufactured. And although we had it shipped out here, we could easily have flown it back with multiple tech stops, but eventually we would have gotten it back there, and the aircraft would have been stored in a hangar closest to them. And it would be the same with the current prizes. So, for instance, the helicopter we could have delivered in the U.S., and again, Robinson is based out of the U.S., so we could always have one off the line delivered. And then, secondly, your Jet Life experience, it's based on a range. So, it doesn't matter if somebody in Australia wins it or if somebody in the US or Canada wins it. We just work with that winner to determine where they want to go, and we make that happen.
Amazing. Well, those are all my questions for today. Thank you so much for joining me for this interview and telling me about your great company. You guys do such incredible work, and we're so honored to be partnering with you here at Aviation Network.
Oh, such a pleasure. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Incredible rest of your day.